Welcome to Tradespoon and Yellowtown. My name is Vlad Karpel. I'm CEO and founder of both companies. And today we're going to have a live trading room open to trade stock and options using our technology. Before we begin, let me know if you guys can hear me and see my screen. We'll begin shortly after. Mark, Bob, Fred, Michael, Faust, Bill, Ted. Fred, loud and clear. All right, then let's start. Welcome to Tradespoon and Yellowtown. My name is Vlad Karpel. I'm CEO and founder of Tradespoon and Yellowtown. And today we're going to have a live trading room open to trade stock and options using our technology. For those of you who are new, welcome. If this is your first live event, do me a favor, type in first. Always want to welcome new subscribers. Brief bio: I was Executive Vice President and Head of Technology at Options Express from its inception through 2007. Options Express was an online broker-dealer acquired by Charles Schwab. I want to take this opportunity to say thank you to all the subscribers. Because of you, I'm able to do what I enjoy professionally. Trading and managing my own money, I've been doing that for over 15 years, mentoring and teaching subscribers how to trade stock and options. And finally, I have a master's degree in computer science. Disclosures are very important. Please read them. Trading stock and options involve risk, not suitable for everyone. You must be aware of the risk and be willing to accept it in order to invest in current market conditions. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not registered with FINRA or SEC. I'm showing you what I do in my own account based on my own risk tolerance level for general education and information purposes only. All right. Again, trading psychology is important. The goal is to become disciplined and confident trader. Right, that takes time and practice. It takes a repeatable process. Right, something you can document, give it to somebody, and they can just execute it. Right, what does it involve? From my perspective, cash. Right, 30% of your portfolio in cash, and controlling things that you have control over. Right, what do we have control over? Cash. 30% if you think we can avoid the recession. 50% if you think we cannot avoid the recession. Number of positions, I would say 4 positions at 2.5%. Try to stay diversified right now. The only thing that's working, AI stocks, right? There's a handful, I don't know, 10 stocks that are continue to go higher, right? And you probably don't want to have all 4 positions in AI stocks because they will move in together, right? So you want to try to diversify. Maybe one stock is AI, and have balanced portfolio where you have probably the same number of long and short positions, right? I would, market still hasn't moved. If you look in the past 2 years, market didn't go anywhere, right? 2 years ago, it was exactly where it is now. So it makes sense to be both long and short the market, and go through positive and negative visualization, right? If you think the AI kind of going to continue trading higher. Let's look at spiders, right? We are trading at 418, right? Looks like false breakout, right? We've been in this situation before, where year-to-date high back in beginning of the month was 417. We had a marginal break from 418 to 420, from 420 to 422. Now we're back to 418. I mean, it's a healthy pullback. It doesn't mean that we're gonna roll over, but I would watch this level, right? Actually, let's look. What did Tradespoon say? So model sees 418 is a line in the sand, right? So support 418, overhead resistance 420. We're back to trading in a tight range. So I mean, I agree. 418, maybe 417, maybe give yourself a little bit more room. So model says 418, 417. So somewhere in here, this is your buy zone, right? And somewhere 422. 424 is your sell zone, right? And we're in the middle of it, right? Oh no, we're actually toward the lower range, right? 418. Pre-market, we're at 418. So let's say, NVIDIA and Microsoft and Google will continue to go higher, and you think that can push the market higher. How many shares do you buy at 418? Well, it depends on your stop loss, right? If you're doing day trading, then I would say if we do drop below this line, right, then that would be a stop loss, right? 418, maybe 0.5%, 416, right? So you're risking 2 points, right? You're risking 2 points. I mean, 0.5%. I would give myself actually more. I would say at least 4 points, at least 1% stop loss, right? Beyond that, if we do break through this level, last week low was 410, right? 408, 410 we said is your next stop loss. So that will take you to about 8 points, 10 points, right? 10 points, right? If you're thinking about a few days or maybe 1 or 2 weeks, because this was a low for a couple of weeks in the middle of the May. So 10 points, 4 points. How many shares can you buy? On the $10,000 account, again, 2.5%, right? Magic number is 2.5%. Not magic, but average, right? Some people, if you have a larger portfolio, maybe it's 1.5%. If you have a smaller portfolio, okay, maybe it's 3%, but not 5, not 10, right? So 4 points, 10 points, and then if you're doing day trading, then I would say 60 shares. You can afford to, risk 60 shares. 6 times 4, 240, or here you're gonna afford 25 shares. So if you're trading options, if you're trading one call or one put, just remember you're managing $42,000. That's probably too much risk, right? You would still have to put a stop loss of $250. $250 and $42,000. 1% is 420. $420. So, small price fluctuation, you might be down more than $250. So then I would just do a spread. And spread allows you to lock into the maximum loss, maximum gain. Or trade something that's smaller strike price, right? Maybe Russell 2000. At least Russell 2000, you're close to 17,000 as your striker. So positive and negative visualization, right? On one hand, you think we're gonna at least retest 422 or maybe even 430, right? That's August high. We didn't get to it. We still might get to it, right? Or we, so on the upside, maybe you're looking for 12 points to the upside, right? From 418 to 430, or on the downside, 418 to 410. So positive, negative visualization are important, and then the repeatable process, right? So you have 4 positions, right? 2 bullish, 2 bearish. You can have more bullish positions or more bearish based on your view on the market. Based on your style of trading, you can hold it for a couple hours. You can hold it for a couple days, couple weeks. Just depending on what you're more comfortable with. Any questions? Sir Vlad, Sir Mark. All right, welcome back. So in terms of what the next moves are, I mean, I would watch the AI stocks, right? That's the only thing that's holding the market, right? So AI is down 6%. You know, AMD is down, 2% pre-market. Yesterday was down 1%. Broadcom had a sharp rebound. Broadcom is pulling over. And I said, how do you know what are the sign of top building process? On 1 hour, 3 candlesticks. Candlestick 1, 2, 3. I think this vertical move is over, right? In my experience. I mean, can it retrace back to 920, which is a pretty big move? Yes, right? But you got to be comfortable. Most likely, it's not going to go to 320. Most likely, it's either something like double top, right? That's kind of a classical one, right? I mean, sometimes it goes a little bit higher based on market conditions. Right, sometimes it goes a little bit lower. We do have, what do we call it, unemployment numbers on Friday, right? But something like this. This vertical move is probably coming to an end, right? Elevator up, elevator down, right? We talked about this. So you have candlestick 1, candlestick 2, candlestick 3. I would say you probably want to fade this move now, right? Sell into any rallies. So this rule is important, right? And going back to your journaling important and trading rule, right? Putting down, 2 or 3 days to confirm the trend change. And as I said, I think, my opinion is that bond market is more accurate, right? Bond market is more accurate, right? Day 1 reversal, shooting star, 1, 2, 3. Lower lows, lower highs, we're sitting at the support. Again, this probably move is over, right? I mean, we can retrace back to 3.8, 3.9, but, we're probably not going to get to 4.1 and 4.2, right? Again, unless something happens in, some kind of macro, geopolitical risk and stuff like that. And, stronger dollar, right? So dollar continues to make higher highs, higher lows. And 10-year is pulling back. So as long as 10-year pulls back and 2-year is pulling back, I think, this rally is going to be capped. What else is interesting? Crude oil, right? Main headlines, again, crude oil is basically retesting 52-week low. Again, and I think the most, covered story is the China, right? China. I mean, debt ceiling is important, but it seems like at this point it's going to get signed, right? So that was actually, on the news yesterday at the closing, but I said this move didn't make sense. Why did the yield go up? But bond market was basically forerunning, right? Front running. It was front running the debt ceiling. It was the idea that most people thought that they will sign the deal and they're going to issue, $1 trillion worth of treasuries. Right, or $1 billion worth of treasuries, and then yield will rise. And now that buy rumor, sell on the news type of idea. Now that the event is here, then people are unloading, right? People are unloading. They're squeezing everyone who was long yield, and the trade unwinds, right? And trade is unwinding. So that makes sense. So crude oil, right? Crude oil is, everybody's watching crude oil. It's sitting at the 52-week low, right? Again, one of the soft landing narrative, no recession narrative. Crude should be at 100 by now or 120, right? That's most analysts were projecting. It's and this is more of a China story, right? So everybody's talking about now the headline news: China is going to grow at 2 to 3%, like similar to United States. The days when it's growing 7 to 8% is probably, or 10%, probably behind us, right? And China reopening is not as optimistic as everybody thought, right? And we're actually breaking below, the decision, right? This was when the news became available, and now we're trading below that. And that pulls all the natural resources, commodities, together. So those are the probably main headline stories. Job openings, I'm not sure how much this is going to have an effect. I mean, I think unemployment rate, right? Because that's right. China reopening was one theme, AI is another theme, and low unemployment. Those were the themes of, avoiding the recession. So as long as the unemployment rate is low, then this is just going to be a market, but just going to trade in the range. Probably just going to be stuck in the range. Any questions, Vlad? Good morning. Good morning, John. Let's see. In terms of earnings, I did do earnings yesterday. Hewlett Packard, right? HPQ, HPE, again, enterprise spending, unless you're making money on the AI, right? You're somehow AI related. Whether it's retail or whether it's corporate spending, it looks like it's down. I think Dell also reported, right? Right, Dell also reported, right? So they're all kind of showing that consumers are becoming more frugal, and and corporate spending becomes more frugal unless that's AI related. And how's AI doing? Speaking of AI related, down 10%. Okay. Palantir, 5%. Okay. Any questions so far? Which country will become next China? I don't think any country is going to be, I mean, this is the second largest economy. I don't think any countries are going to be second largest economy. I mean, Japan, right? Japan is in the news. They've been stagnating, but, it's kind of a vertical move to the upside, and they are pulling back. So Japan looks extremely strong, right? Much stronger than, China. Much better rebound. So Japan, I think, would be one. I don't know if, but maybe out of it's not emerging market, but I would say Japan looks strong now. GDP growth-wise, I think most developed countries are not going to grow at 8-9%, right? So, and emerging markets, I mean, let's look at, I think, Vietnam. What is it in Vietnam? VNM. So it doesn't look very strong to me. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's going to grow 8-9%. India, maybe. Country of the world, not China anymore, right? So India has manpower. Is there India? Good point. India. INDA. That's a good name. It looks like it did break through this downturn. But maybe India, right? Maybe India. But for now, I think, as long as the dollar is strong, it's going to put cap on some of these rallies and GDP growth, right? So maybe it's a little bit too early. Maybe I would wait for, Q3, Q4, right after summer. Summer is probably going to get volatile. Probably not the time to get overly bullish. All right. Meanwhile, let's see if anything stands out. Let's see if any of the levels are broken. So materials, right? China story sitting at the key support, April low. I would watch that level. Home builders, continues to pull back. Metals and miners are the weakest, right? With China, right? China continues to pull back. Industrials are kind of rolling over, right? Sideways, trading sideways, sitting on the key support. Energy, right? We talked about energy. XLE, XOP is under pressure. Gold, silver not going anywhere. Consumer staples slightly down. Utilities, biotech turning positive. Also, consumer discretionary down today. QQQ down. Spiders. XLF rolling over. KRE pulling back. Maybe TAP is going to finally rebound. Okay, so looks like TAP is trying to rebound. All right, day 1, day 2, maybe day 3. And then TAP maybe will start recovering. All right, and HPQ. So, all right, so let's try to close HPQ. So that was the... I was concerned again. I think the risk is to the downside in this company unless they have a good AI story. Then the risk is to the upside, actually. But if you don't have a good AI story, then risk is to the downside. So I just did the call spreads. Call spreads. So let's see if I can close this trade. I don't want to wait till the end. All right, so close the short call. So I'm out of the short calls. Okay. So it's a liquid name. Selling call spread collected 30 basis points. And now I'm out of this trade. Let's see. Let me look at my portfolio. Any question on the earnings or HPQ trade? This would be earnings if you did earnings power trader, right? HPQ, CrowdStrike is today. Well, today's what? Wednesday. So just watch your messages. If you're an earnings power trader, you can enter your SMS message. If you're an elite, you'll see it under also SMS messages. Then you can follow the trade alone. I don't know if you guys have any questions. All right. Let's look at the rest of the positions. right? So we talked about HPQ. QQQ did get fill yesterday during lunchtime. So I do have a bullish put spread, right? Most of the positions are bearish, but I did add to QQQ bullish put spread. My thought process is that we do have a clearly defined breakout, right? On QQQ. So retraced 50%, broke through August high, now retraced to 62%, kind of struggling for 62% retracement or March high, right? So 52-week high. So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, one day is not enough, right? We'll see. I mean, you can see QQQ is actually turning flat. So we'll just have to watch the trade. Thank you, Victor. Carmen, why did I choose Pfizer? I think Pfizer, it's more of a fundamental call in the story, right? I went long Pfizer is that I think it's oversold, and with the this weight loss drugs, I think this is a very strong narrative, right? Just like AI, right? I don't think Eli Lilly or Pfizer. I mean, short-term market is overbought and can pull back, but I think longer term there's a lot more potential. So I think it's oversold. It's approaching multi-year low, but I don't think it's. I mean, can it be lower than this level? Sure, but I think the story is intact and Pfizer is gonna trade higher. Plus, healthcare. Is usually healthcare. If the market does pull back significantly, healthcare and safety asset classes are usually a good place to hide, and they did pull back, right? XLV is oversold, consumer staples are oversold, and you can see they are kind of, outperforming, and I think it makes sense to buy on these steep pullbacks. XSP, I haven't traded XSP options. Mini options, S&P 500 mini SPX options. Haven't traded them. Are they liquid? I don't have an opinion. I mean, the chart looks like spiders, right? I mean, it looks like a spiders, so I'm not sure what the advantages of XSP, but I don't have any thoughts. Right, they are options, but the chart looks the same, so I don't know what the advantage is. Are they smaller shares, right? I mean, they're identical to SPY. Just a different product, right? SIBO product. Not very little, but cash settle. So yeah, if you want to avoid getting like call, if you're trading spiders and you're in the money options, you have to pay dividend, right? It's like you're shorting here, cash settle, so you don't have to pay dividend. I mean, you can trade options on SPX, right, on index itself. That's one of the reasons they're doing. So if you don't if this is just options and you're avoiding the risk of getting paying dividend, right? If you're short, okay, then that could be a good reason. But if it's not liquid as spiders and the bid and ask is wider apart, you're probably gonna, spend more money on, if it's not liquid. So just something to keep in mind. So no stock assignment, cash settle. Makes sense. NVIDIA and QQQ back in the green again. Okay. Yeah, so as I said, I would look at 1 hour chart. Look NVIDIA. But 1 hour, 2 hour, 3, 4, 5, 6 hours, close the gap. It is flat. Can it be back at 420? Sure. But I would probably not chase. I would not chase Nvidia. I would not chase Broadcom at this point. Right? This is a pretty. Usually, this how these elevator blow off top patterns end. Right. So in the next few days, I would not be surprised we're going to be back to 718, 700. Right. Well, maybe it'll take longer than a couple of days, but I would be very surprised if we're above 920. Right? I don't think it's going to happen. Yeah, spiders I like from liquidity point, but there is a risk if you keep in the money short options, you can pay dividend, right? You can pay different if you're shorting short call and it's in the money and it's during the when the dividend is declared, then you will pay basically the dividend. Thank you. Any other questions? So we do have a few announcements. Just please don't forget that we do have a YouTube channel. We're broadcasting. Everybody who's watching live, thank you. If you haven't clicked subscribe, please, or you watch the recordings, most people watch the recordings, click on subscribe button. So please click on subscribe button. Very important. And if you do find videos useful and help you navigate market conditions, don't trade alone, be part of the community. Share. Do me a favor, share these videos. Get a link, and if you're part of any group or blog, or you have your own blog, or you have your own group, or you have your own discussion board, please share the link. Any questions? All right, let's go over the rest of the positions. So we talk HPQ out, Russell 2000. Pretty weak, right? It's had significant pullback. Probably passive list resistances to the downside. Still bearish on Russell 2000. Microsoft. We'll see. Right, it's kind of that's the AI theme. So far, it looks better than most of the AI stocks, but again, it's a little bit overbought. So I'm trying to get out of it as a quick trade. QQQ, bearish in June. That trade is probably will not recover unless you have some kind of an event in the market. But July, I have both bullish and bearish position, right? Credit put spread, credit call spread, so kind of think that the market is going to trade in the range potentially in June. But then July, August, I think we have more meaningful pullback. So September puts. So I still have these September puts. SH, if you're not comfortable hedging, right, I would consider buying SH or buying silver. Right, how's silver doing today? Looks like it's trying to find the bottom, right? So silver is trying to find the bottom. So I do have a put and I have a stock. We talked about consumer staples being oversold. Looks like TAP is trying to also stay, kind of a stage rebound. So I'm watching TAP. TLT. Same thing, I think, because of the debt ceiling, right? It sold off. Now that most likely that ceiling is going to pass the Senate and the House. I think they're voting today. So I think TLT rebounds from this point on. And then XLF. Still bearish XLF. Small caps, regional banks, large banks, not a healthy pattern, right? Doesn't look healthy, it's pulling back, so I would not the only thing you can chase is AI stocks. Outside of AI, even like some of these Eli Lilly type of stocks are just, not a lot of momentum to the upside. All right, spiders kind of not going anywhere, right? They're close to session low. QQQ has recovered. Semis are still down 1%. Let's see. So it looks like regional banks are accelerating its pullback. PacWest, and they're all going lower. And then big guys, Google slightly down, Apple slightly up, Microsoft is up 1%, Amazon, Tesla is down, but looks like banks are pulling back significantly. I don't know is there anything in the news to cause banks to pull back? Let's see, what's on the news? What is on the news? Chicago PMI fell to 40 versus 47. So, I didn't think it's going to matter because it's kind of continues to trade lower. Chicago manufacturing PMI, Chicago PMI. That was tomorrow. I guess we have Chicago PMI. Not sure why it's not on the list. Wednesday, May 31st. Or is this wrong? 5 minutes ago, let's see. Yeah, so 5 minutes. So it looks like Chicago PMI came in. And, expectation 47, but it came in at 40, right? I mean, that's a big jump. I mean, big drop. Big drop. Okay, that could be the reason. Debt ceiling vote, we know about this. Yeah, looks like Chicago PMI is causing market to roll over and trade at session low. Yeah, so I think that's it. How's the Broadcom in the either rolling over? No, yeah, Broadcom's actually turning positive. AI is still down 10%. Okay. One-hour chart better than from other periods? It depends what kind of trader are you, right? If you're day trader and you hold in position for 5 minutes, maybe 1 hour is not that important, right? But if you're holding position, for hours or days, then yeah, 1 hour. I like 1 hour chart. It helps me make decision because usually I don't trade in 5-minute or 15-minute intervals, right? I usually hold a position for at least a couple hours or a couple days or a couple weeks. So I do like 1 hour chart because it helps me determine you know, like in the case of Broadcom, whether this, you know, when is the blow of top pattern gonna end, right? So usually if I see 3 hours in a row of lower lows, lower highs, then we're probably, you know, this is a blow of top pattern, and it's probably getting to a mature level where we're probably not going to break above 880 in any meaningful way anytime soon. Thank you. PayPal. I mean, it looks like, I mean, it is going higher. I would wait, you know, I assume you're talking about day trading. I would want to wait for it to break through this level. So it just depends on what your holding period is. Pattern is very weak, right? It's PayPal just got annihilated after earnings. So there is no good story unless they are going to benefit from AI. Not sure how, not sure if that's the case, but you know, I would stay away from fintech. There's just too much competition, especially with Apple Pay, right? So I think they're struggling. Bill had good earnings consolidation phase. I mean, this is a good pattern. You know, it's trading in a well-defined box. You know, there's two things going to happen. Either this is going to happen or this is going to happen, right? So I would wait, you know, I would wait. I mean, if you do market neutral strategy, you know, this is a good, because it can trade here, you know, until the next earnings season, right? It could possibly. So you can do like iron condor, right? Selling premium until it breaks outside of the range. Which way it's going to break, I don't know. You know, I'm bearish on technology, so intuitively, you know, I think everything's going to break down to the downside. But this is individual stocks. They have individual stories, right? And they might, you know, 1 out of 100 stocks might not follow the indexes, right? But the index, I think the passive list resistance is lower, right? Passive list resistance is lower. And, you know, I would just watch, you know, market is now very sensitive to these macroeconomic news, right? Like, usually Chicago PMI, it's been below 50 for many, many months and quarters, right? And nobody paid attention. But today, people are paying attention, probably because summer. And probably it's just a dismal number, 40, right? 40 is not a good number. I'm surprised yield is not dropping more. So it looks like yield is not dropping more, but spiders looks like is being impacted. We'll see. Yeah, so I would watch this level, right? 417, 418. Model's at 418. So you know that model's doing a good job telling you that this is your line in the sand short term. And then, you know, if we break through this line, then, you know, same thing. 1 hour, 2, 3 hours, we're trading below 418. Then I would say this probably again the top is set. Maybe marginally can break through, and then, you know, we're probably gonna retest 410 sooner than later. Yeah, short term. I mean, short term you can trade anything, right? For short term you can trade anything. I like to trade with the trend, right? So if there's a trend like, you know, Microsoft. Okay, if I have to pick something to go long, okay, then Microsoft. You know, if I want to pick something to go short, like short term, you know, I want to trade with the trend, like crude oil. Like everybody's, you know, shorting oil. I mean, at some point it's going to be overdone, right? But, you know, shorting crude oil, right? We're at 65, 67. Little AAP, I don't know, AAP was in the news. They have earnings today. Advanced Auto Parts. Earnings, yeah. So Advanced Auto Parts. So you can see retail stocks, corporate spending, you know, manufacturing data, everything points that we are heading into recession, right? So there's the main argument, I think, for the no landing, right, or avoiding recession is unemployment is low, right? That's a good, strong argument. You can fight that. And, you know, NVIDIA is $1 trillion company. As long as that's the case at Microsoft, you know, As long as the Microsoft, Google, and Nvidia at 52-week high, and unemployment is low, this is going to be a sideways market, right? We're going to have some bad manufacturing data, market is going to drop, then we're going to have some AI announcement from some CEO, and the stock market is going to go up. All right, something is going on with SoFi. I've seen, right, yesterday it was up, looks like today it's up. They made some announcement, I'm not sure what the story is, but yeah, it does. I mean, it had bad earnings, right, but now it's higher than the earnings, so I would watch the news. I mean, it could be this Wall Street mavens, right? Every time you see Wall Street bets, it could be just retail betting and trying to kind of, again, this elevator up or down. So I'm not sure how much more room it has. PayPal thinking of X. Okay, thank you. All right, auto parts, reopening, everybody's driving, you don't have inventory, but this is all nice and wonderful, and it makes sense, and it was a theme, but this theme is rolling over, right? Bottom line, consumers are conscious of spending, right? Whether you AT&T earnings, or this large corporation like AT&T, but people don't renew their subscriptions, right? They don't want to pay for their internet, or they're looking for cheaper alternatives, and stuff like that. Shorting Nvidia and AMD, I mean, that's not my style of trading, right? Because, I mean, it can elevator up, elevator down, but we can still revisit 130, So, I mean, you do have a stop loss, right? So if I would short AMD, let's say, I would say, okay, I'm looking at 1 hour chart, right? For many hours, it's not making new highs. Okay, that's a good sign to short. But if we break above 131, I would be out. So you do have 10 points to the upside against you, and I mean, maybe it will drop 10 points to the downside. So it's a 1-to-1, right? So maybe you do small short at 121. I would put maybe half a position, maybe. Risk no more than $100, right? So $10 up. So I would maybe short 10 shares and short another 10 at 130, right? Because you have 10 points to the downside, you have 10 points to the upside. And you can see, let's see, when like these meme stocks, AMC, right? So you have vertical moves. You see these vertical moves up, it goes down, then it revisits, right? There's a double top, a little bit lower, and then pulls back, right? Same thing, up, down, revisits, double top, and drops. So these are some of the meme stocks that has been trading. And I think most of it is probably retail flow. Bed Bath & Beyond usually, well, yeah, usually there is no two. Yeah, probably AMC is a good example. So yeah, so you could have this double top, right? Or here it's actually higher, right? Here it's a little bit lower. So there's, these double top, triple top that might happen with the Nvidia and AMD. AKB is not necessarily OKB and Riley. Thank you. AI earnings today. Okay. That would be interesting. That would be interesting. Very volatile stock, right? It's extremely volatile during earnings. So just be careful if you're going to do this. Pull back. Okay. NTAP CRM today. Yeah, so there's a lot of earnings announcement today. We'll start doing my research. Please follow the SMS messages. And if you are trading earnings, some of you are trading options, please consider trade your offer, right? If you're spending more than $10 a month, I would look at your statements. If you're spending more than $10 a month, some of you spend 100, some of you spend 1,000. You know, Trader allows you to only spend $10 a month. So it could be a considerable savings depending on how many contracts you're trading, how often you're trading. But, you know, 9 out of 10 people spend more than 10, you know, if you trade options, spend more than $10. So consider Yellow Tunnel LP Trader to open up account there. I know it doesn't have foreign accounts. Some of you are outside of the United States, but if you're in the United States, then this is a good alternative. All right, 9:10. What is happening with the market? Looks like it's slowly rolling over, right? It did not like that PMI data. So it's sitting at the year-to-date high, right? The previous breakout, May 1st. I mean, the breakout, sorry, happened May 23rd. So last week breakout of new 52-week high. So the question is this sustainable breakout or is this a false breakout? You know, I think we'll know it in a couple of days. Surprised there's no bigger move in yield. That's actually surprising. So I would keep an eye on yield, right? I mean, we did have a pretty strong already drop, so maybe that's why. But where yield is going to go, that's where the market is going to go. And yeah, I mean, there is a risk that ceiling, you know, if they don't vote on agreement and they would force them to go back to negotiations table, that would be a pretty dramatic event. But right now, bond market, you don't see that. Looks like everybody's expecting that it's going to go, it's going to get approved. All right, any other questions? I don't know if you guys have any questions. Volatility rush strategies that used during earnings. I mean, it is good, right? I mean, it's obviously possible. I do the opposite, volatility, crush, right? That's the HPQ trade. But you could do, that as you go on into the earnings, you do have, volatility is rising. But you just have to make sure that the market is trading in some kind of sideways range. But yes, going into the earnings, volatility is increasing, and then after the earnings, volatility is decreasing, right? So both strategies make sense. I'm doing basically the opposite, right? Like HPQ. I was the idea that volatility is gonna be destroyed, and it does, right? And it gets destroyed. Bob, looks the next support. What did we say? 417. 417. I mean, I think the next level is this 52-week high, not 52, year-to-date high, right? So year-to-date high, which was posted on May 1st, right? And we weren't able to break through it multiple times, is the line in the sand, right? So if you have something like this in the next couple of hours where we are trading 3 candlestick lower and we are trading at 415, 414 level, then, it's going to go lower. But for now, bulls want to hold this level, right? Bulls want to hold on to this level. Right, model predicted 418, we're at 417, but this is your support. So, I mean, if you're short-term trader, you probably want to, if you do see a bounce, this is where, this is a buy zone for day trading, right? Unless you have, 3 candlesticks lower. Right, then I would say, then this is your stop level. So, wait for some kind of a stabilization. If we do have it, for day traders, maybe you can go long. Right, but I would wait for stabilization, right? Because right now it's kind of a free fall. Right, so you don't want to catch the falling knife. But I would watch this level, right? If we have this pattern, they, punch 1, 2, 3, then, that will open the doors to 410. But for now, this is the support level, 417. Looks like QQQ start falling too, right? Yeah, QQQ is at session low too. TAP is going higher. Day 1 day. Okay, remind me tomorrow. If we are posting higher highs, higher lows, then I would add to my TAP position. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Consider broker-dealer account at Trader. Please read the disclosures. So we do have marketing relationship with them. And please, thank you for following us on YouTube. Every Wednesday, we're going to have a closing bell broadcast. You can, talk to Scott, and please click on subscribe. Will help our marketing efforts. All right, guys, you're the great. Thank you very much, and have a great day. Thank you. Bye. MP, sorry, a couple more questions. MP, what is MP? MP materials. Materials, I would stay away, right? I mean, on one hand, they're oversold, right? So for now, I would probably maybe just metals and miners in general, right? This is XME. It is oversold. It's in free fall. I mean, you can short it to this level, right? I mean, we still have 10% lower. So we could, as dollar rising and we're approaching summer, we could get to 40. So to short, you can do a short, and then, your stop loss is around 48, right? 3 candlesticks, right? That would take longer term perspective, 3 weeks. So you have, you know, 10% to the stop loss, 10% to the downside. More downside possible? Yes, I think I would look at the dollar, right? As long as dollar rising, there's more room to the downside, but it's getting overstretched, right? It's already getting a little tired, right? So dollar is overbought. It's already approaching year-to-date high, right? So, you know, I would watch the dollar. As long as dollar continues going higher, then China and commodities will continue to sell off in oil. But at some point, it's going to pull back, right? So I would just watch that pattern. Days as well. Mark, thank you. Faust, thank you. All right, guys. Thank you very much and have a great day.